How's it going, guys? We're back on Mobility Monday, hopefully solving some of the issues that you might carry around in your body. Now, episode 1 and 2, we started in the upper body, working around that shoulder mobility. Now today we're going to move down the body into the hips. So do you suffer from tight hip flexors, stiffness and soreness in the front of the hip? Well, this can be down to many things. One of them could be the amount of time that you spend in that seated position. If you work at a desk, on a computer, like we covered, these are very, very common lifestyle issues. Now what we need to do is combat that position where we're keeping them hip flexors really short and taking them the other way and opening things up. So what I'm going to show you today is a different way how we can get into that hip flexor, mobilize it, and then also do some work and load up, okay? Now your hip flexors aren't going to be shortened, so even if you do sit at a desk for 8 hours, it's not going to shorten the muscle physiologically, but it might feel stiff and tight, okay? So when these hip flexors are tight in the front, what it's going to do is it's going to pull that pelvis forward, so you're almost into this position, okay? Anterior pelvic tilt, it's called. So this is shortened, brings the hip into tilting forwards, and this is going to bring stress and some tightness into the hamstrings or even lower back. So this exercise is also good for addressing problems there. If you have pain in the lower back, hamstrings, hip, then I'd put this one in. So common mistakes that people do when they try to stretch out that hip flexor is they come into this position and they just lunge forward like this. They really hyperextend, lower back, ribs are flared, sometimes often the heels raised as well. And what we're going to do is get you into a much more safer position and much more effective. So you're going to grab a foam roller or something like this, and we're going to get, first of all, right on top of that hip flexor. And we're going to roll, and we're just flushing water or blood through the problem area. Sometimes you'll find a position where it feels really sore and tight. That's the position, unfortunately, we're looking to stay in. So once we find that, just work with the breath and drop into it. And you can spend some time here just really getting nice and deep into that problem area. After we've had enough of that, we're going to get into the stretch. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use the KO8 to get even more benefit from this. We're going to get the KO8 open up. We're going to step our leg through the top, and we're going to pull it right up to the top of the leg, okay, right underneath that bum cheek crease, and we're going to make sure we've got plenty of tension, okay? So we're going to pull this back. I'm going to start work on the left leg first. So once we get into this position, what I'm looking to do is make sure, again, we've got tension on the bands. You're going to bring that back foot in slightly, internally rotated to keep that position. And now what we're doing here is we're distracting, we're bringing the bone, the femur bone, which is your thigh bone, into the front of the hip capsule. And what we're trying to do here is keep this glute nice and tight, back nice and straight, rib cage down. And if we're doing this correctly, we should already start to feel a nice stretch here. Now again, you can just move sideways, in and out, contract and relax, and just move a little bit further into that each time. If you want to add more bands for more tension, take some bands from the other side and load this up. But again, we're really trying to keep a nice neutral spine and just work through the front of that hip. Now, some good things you can do to emphasize that is work into the upper body. So the first variation that we're going to do is we're going to use the same arm on the same side. We're going to lift up, keeping this glute nice and tight in the back. Make sure the tension's on, you're contracting. And then we're just going to lean over that side, a few seconds, back to center and relax. And then a second variation that you can try, come off the stretch, bring it back on, contract the glute, hand on the inside of the leg, raise that arm, rotate away, and then add the stretch. So you'll really start to feel the stretch travel up, higher up the body into that psoas front hip, and then again, we can just come out of that nice and safe. So there's a perfect way to mobilize through there. Again, try and find areas where you need to be, rock in and out, find the tight spots, and then just spend a few sets and breaths of getting into there before you start to work. Now, what's also important here is You can't just stretch the muscle that feels stiff, tight and sore. You have to load it. You have to create strength in that area as well. So if you continue to just stretch and stretch and stretch, but without strengthening, then you're always going to feel a little bit tight. You're always going to feel the need to stretch. So what we're going to do now is show you a quick and easy way of how to start to load that area. So I've used the other side. We're going to take a nice low amount of resistance. So I'm going to start with one black band. Make sure that we've got enough space. So we're going to slide back a little bit. I'm going to come all the way down and just hook the toes on the inside. Now I need to have tension all the way through this movement. So if you drop your leg in and it becomes slack, you're a little bit too far out, too close. So drop back a little bit, make sure we have the tension to begin with to start. And from here, all we're going to do is drive that knee up and bring it down. Drive it up. You can even switch the legs. And we're getting some work done here, loading up this area. Now I'm starting quite light, as I say, but when you feel more confident, more comfortable and strong, you can start to add some bands here, add some resistance. So driving that knee up toward the body. You can drop into an isometric and hold it up, or you can drop in and out of those reps. So again, perfect way to strengthen, load up that area after the roll, after the mobilizations and stretch, and hopefully we're going to open up those hips, keep you in a much more comfortable position, much more strong position. It's going to help with your lunge movement patterns. It's going to help with your squats and deadlifts. And as I say, that overall stiffness and soreness should start to alleviate and eventually go, hopefully, fingers crossed. But that's what we want. We want the feedback from you guys. We want to see how you've been getting on. Tag, share, or like what we've done. And also tag someone in that needs to do this. If you know anyone who complains constantly with those type of problems, give them the help. Spread the help, spread the wealth. See you next time.